Welcome back, welcome back, welcome back to the channel. I'm sitting in my car in the garage right now, my Lexus, because it's due for an oil change. I actually just got back from Walmart. I went to pick up some oil and an oil filter, and I'm going to be changing the oil in this car today. I don't know if you've seen my last oil change video on my Miata or not, but if you want an in-depth or more in-depth tutorial on how to change oil, that video is better for you. But this is going to be more of an educational / entertaining video. I'm just going to show you guys the process of how I change oil on this. I'm not really going to do a tutorial or anything like that, but it's just going to be for you to learn something, I guess. If you haven't seen my other video or you just want to watch this, that's fine too. If you want to change your own oil, I recommend you do your own research and you take your own precautions and things like that, because proper safety and proper procedure is super important so that you do not injure yourself or end up damaging your engine or your car. But I really hope you enjoy watching me change the oil in my 1993 Lexus LS400. And I already popped my hood, but obviously you gotta pop your hood, and it's important that you put your e-brake on. Also, this car is an automatic, unlike my Miata. My Miata's a manual transmission, but I just have to put this in park, that's all. I use Walmart brand SuperTech, high mileage full synthetic in this car, and a Fram filter. I don't like Fram, but it's all they had, so I have to go with their best one, which was the ultra synthetic one. Okay, so the first part of this is going to be raising up your vehicle. I use a jack and a jack stand, and there's a certain spot on your vehicle where you can raise it up. If you just put a jack under your car and start lifting, that's going to be really bad, so definitely figure out where your jacking points are on your car. In my case, it's behind the front wheels. And then put a jack stand next to the jack so that in case the jack would fail for some reason, your car's not going to fall on you. I'm using a jack on both sides as well as two jack stands. It just makes it a little bit easier to get underneath the car. So this is my oil drain plug, and I'm putting a pan underneath the car for the oil to drain into. Go ahead and crack your oil drain plug loose, and as you can see here, I remove it and then the oil starts to drain out. That orange looking rectangle underneath my oil pan is an oil pan heater. I use that whenever it's cold outside, but you're probably not going to have one of those, so just ignore it. And then I'm cleaning off my oil drain plug as well. Crack open the oil fill cap on the top of your engine and remove it. It helps the oil drain a little bit faster without causing any sort of vacuum in your engine. And I wasn't paying attention to the oil draining, so it starts to drain over the pan there, as you can see. And this is the crush washer that helps the oil seal with the oil drain plug. I don't replace it, but you can if you want. I've never had any leaking issues. This is my brand new oil filter, and this is one of those things that people don't always do. A lot of people say it's not necessary, and it probably isn't, but I get some fresh oil and pour it into the new oil filter to allow that filter media to start to absorb that fresh oil. I do this because when you go to start your car after doing an oil change, it helps oil flow through the filter a little bit faster so that your engine isn't running dry. Again, it's not something that's necessary. You don't have to do it if you don't want to, but it's just one of those things that I like to do. And I'm spinning the oil filter around with that fresh oil in it to allow all of that filter media to absorb the fresh oil. And then I'm taking some of that fresh oil with my finger and I'm spreading it around on the rubber gasket on the oil filter. That is something that you should absolutely do. It helps prevent the oil filter from sticking to the side of your engine block the next time you go to remove it. So definitely do this. And now I am removing my old oil filter. Sometimes they can be a little bit difficult to get off, but if you can't get yours off, you could use an oil filter wrench. I found that if you just apply constant pressure with your hands, eventually eventually or at least most times, it starts to come loose, and mine did right here. So I'm not taking it all the way off, I'm just cracking it loose and allowing some of that oil to flow out of it. I don't want to just take it off immediately and have old engine oil spill out everywhere, but as you can see, it still ended up happening anyways. So I'm removing that old oil filter, and there goes all the oil. Sometimes oil changes are just messy, and it is what it is. I am now lowering the one side of my car where the oil drain plug is, or at least where the oil drain plug is facing, to allow some of that old oil to come out of the bottom of the oil pan. Sometimes if your car is level, not all of the oil will come out of the pan. And then my cat decided to join me. Say hi to Nala. Okay, so the oil's drained out. Now I'm going to put the drain plug back into the oil pan, and I'm going to tighten up that drain plug. And once we get that nice and tight, we are going to install the new oil filter. I have a spin-on oil filter, so it just spins on, and then I'm going to tighten it with my hands. Do not use a wrench or anything, just make it nice and snug. And here is my old oil. I like to shine a light into it and swirl it around with my finger just to make sure there's no large metal chunks or anything like that floating around. You can see a little bit of swirling in my oil, but it's no big deal. That's pretty normal. And now I'm going to lower my car down, remove those jack stands first, and then lower it down with the jacks. And it's time to add new oil into your engine. I always hated the way that Walmart seals their new oil with this plasticky stuff. It's kind of annoying, but I use a knife and it helps. So I'm opening up both jugs of my new oil, and we're going to go ahead and pour it into the top of the engine where the oil fill cap is. I recommend using a funnel, it makes it a lot easier. I've definitely had my fair share of spills when I've tried doing this without a funnel. My engine takes around 6 quarts of oil, so I add 5 in right here. And after we do that, I'm going to check the oil and see where it's at. It looks like it's a little bit below the top fill mark, and I really like to have it at the very top of the fill mark, so I'm going to put my dipstick back in. I'm going to put the fill cap back on, and I like to start the engine at this point. The oil is far up enough to where I can safely start the engine. So start the engine, let it run for about 15 seconds, and then go ahead and shut it off. And then we're going to recheck the oil level after we shut the engine off. Pull your dipstick out, wipe it off, and after your engine runs, it's good to let it sit for like a minute or two just to let the oil settle back down to the pan. But I know it's going to be low, so you can remove your oil fill cap again. Check your oil after a minute or two, and as you can see, it's only halfway up now because that oil filter filled up a little bit and it absorbed some more of that oil. Plus, not all of the oil drained back to the pan yet, so I'm just going to add what I think it's going to need. And after I do this, I'm not doing all 6 quarts, I'm just doing like 2/3 of the last quart, so that's about 5 quarts and 2/3 of the 6th quart. And I'm going to remove the funnel, put the cap back on after I check the oil again, and it does look like it's at the very top of the fill mark. You can't see it very well, but it looks good to me. So remove that funnel, put your cap back on, and you are good to go. That's how I do an oil change on my Lexus.